Good morning, everyone. When I'm recording this, it's afternoon. I've already been in to see my son, checked into the storage unit and got some things out of there. Still trying to clean that out. I got to work on that. I've started shopping on a little bit higher end laptop. The current one I've got, I can't do video editing on because it doesn't have a graphics processor. So it's got me by 2 years, and now I think I'm going to have to do a fundraiser to try to get myself a better laptop. I think God's taking care of me when it comes to a place to stay, so I'm going to hold off on that until after the first of the year and see how that works out. All right. And yeah, I got a couple of hairs cut. This is better camping stuff, and I'm not working. I'm not taking any other jobs because I don't like where Hollywood decided to go. And the conservatives that started their own work in studios, they're not here. They're in Texas and other places, so there's no conservative work for me here that I can find. And I'm really not set up for it. I've done my independent work, and that's done. That movie has been released. I don't know if anybody saw it. I had the link up. This is not supposed to be high-end stuff. This is campy Star Trek stuff. It's for fun. There's Rapture Kitty. Say hi, kitty, 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 kitty. Took him with me over to my son's, and he was biting everyone. We were supposed to clip his nails, and he was being too feisty. He wouldn't let anybody hold him. He wanted to fight. So we had to put him down and let him burn off his energy. Oh, we're sitting up. What are we sitting up for? It's just wind blowing in the trees, kitty. When I got back, I was welcomed with the fact that there's one other guy that's going to be permanently here in the camp until probably the end of December. He's got a house waiting for him. It's not finished yet. They had to do one more thing, and that will be done sometime around Christmas. So he will have a Christmas home to move into. So right now there's just two of us that live in the camp. He lives by the front gate where the ranger would stay, but the ranger's not here. He doesn't want to come here all the time. He wants to just check in on stuff. And his trailer is in the shop being fixed for a water leak, and it's not even there. So, in any case, we talked about walking in the last video. A form of transportation, something that the people could relate to. Well, now we're going to talk about running. Again, physical activity, but walking doesn't take a whole lot of effort to think about it. You just get up and you walk. Once you get past 2 years old, walking is a breeze. And back in Jesus' time, they walked everywhere. That's why he said at the Last Supper, I'm going to wash your feet. And Peter said, well, wash my whole body. And he says, only your feet need washing. Because you're walking in the dust and the dirt. So, running, though, you have to plan it out. You have to be prepared for it. Not everybody should run. There's a few people that shouldn't even walk without medical help and approval. So I'm never telling people to do something against a doctor's orders. But if you can run, it can be fun. Now, you don't have to run far. If you've never run before, don't expect to run far. You have to build up to it. You have to practice. Now, I'm a little heavier now than I was a few years ago when I had my first knee surgery. But I haven't been able to really run since then because I didn't have my second knee surgery. I should have done them both at the same time. I was going to separate them by 6 months. And in 6 months, they defunded Obamacare. That paid for my surgery. It's the only part of Obamacare that I agree with. It had a clause in there that said if you've ever had to wait on the VA, we'll send you to any doctor you want. On us. So I did. But I postponed it instead of having them both done at the same time because I knew that I couldn't get around then. At least I could hobble on one foot. And so I put it off. Best laid plans of mice and men. God knows, but we often don't check with him on every little detail. And that's a problem. He needs to be consulted on everything we do. So, running. 1 Corinthians 9:24. Striving for a crown, do you not know that those who run in a race all run, but only one receives the prize? Run in such a way that you may obtain it. If you're running a race, you want to try to get first place. Now, running is good for the body anyway, just good. I was never expecting to win, but 2 weeks before my knee surgery on my right knee, I ran a 5K. Now, my time wasn't that good. I think it was like 20 minutes. To win it, you got to be around 11, I think, for the class that we were in. 20 minutes, well, that's slow, but I finished it. And the finish line was up on the slightest of grade, up on a hill. We had to run up a slight hill to get to the shopping center, mall, and then run around the inner part of the mall and cross the finish line. I couldn't run up that slightest grade. I mean, it was just barely a grade. You know, I can't even make it look. But it was uphill. And I couldn't run uphill because my knee was trying to bend backwards. That's the problem when you wear a knee out. Having no meniscus, it starts to wear the bone out. So I turned around and I ran it backwards. You can find a way to make things work. Now, my speed wasn't good. It slowed me down, obviously, quite a bit. But I got up the hill. When it leveled off, I turned around and finished the race. God wants us to be like that. Find a way. God will provide all that we need. But we have to run the race. Hebrews 12:1, the race of faith. Therefore we also, since we are surrounded by so great a cloud of witnesses, they had a lot of witnesses then, let us lay aside every weight and the sin which is so easily ensnares us, and let us run with endurance the race that is set before us. Now, they weren't really running. This is a metaphor. They were running a race because you have to push to run a race. Walking can be difficult, but walking everybody could do. Most everybody. But running is not something everybody can do. If you look at these people who run all the time, they're skinny as a rail. I'm not going to do that. But even if you fast walk, you still finish, and it's called a race. And the only one, if you're not going to try to get the first place, the only one you need to beat the next time you run is yourself. However fast you ran last time, beat that time. Now, every race is different. Sometimes they may be hills. if you run a big race like, the New York Marathon or the Boston Marathon or the Peachtree Road Race here in Atlanta, there are hills. And it can be grueling, and they run 25K. I ran a 5K. It's 5 times as long. Now, I could have probably, in my peak, run half of that without any trouble. So I would have had to have trained to run a 25K. But I'm not into the long marathons. I just wanted to be able to run, to wherever I need to go and come back and not be out of breath, or not have to crawl into bed for a week after I run something. I don't want that. So I'm still waiting to find out if they're going to operate on my other knee. We're still at that point, and it's probably been 8 or 9 years now. Okay. 2 Timothy 4:7. I have fought the good fight. I have finished the race. I have kept the faith. Paul, who told us about the rapture in Thessalonians, was looking for it. He felt it was imminent. And he didn't get to enjoy the rapture. He, like everybody else before us, had to die an earthly death. Now, I don't know what that's like because I've never done it. Hopefully, if we don't get raptured, we die in our sleep so that we aren't aware of it. Because there's that a moment of fright. Now, it may not last long. If the heart stops because of a heart attack, there's some fear. I've watched detective movies and they go, he died of a heart attack. How can you tell? Look at the grimace on his face. It's still there. If you take care of yourself, maybe we can avoid that. However, the rapture would be so much easier if we can make it. And we're still waiting. It's the next thing to happen. Was it 2 Peter 3:9? But God not being slack, not willing for anyone to die. 1 Corinthians 9:26. So I do not run aimlessly, and I do not box as one beating the air. In other words, there's purpose. Running is good, but you got to have a purpose. A friend of mine created a race that is taken off, and they run around the country now and have this same race. Unfortunately, I had my knee surgery just before he created this, so I couldn't run in it. But I would have loved to. But you run for God, your family, your friends, and then yourself. Galatians 5:7. You were running well. Who hindered you from obeying the truth? We can be sidetracked too easily. And when we're running a race, we can get tired. So we can allow things to sidetrack us. But not running consistently. If your car doesn't run consistently, you may be late for work or have to walk home from the market. And finally, Psalm 119, well, I got two more. Psalm 119:32. I will run in the way of your commandments when you enlarge my heart. So God will. All of his commandments are based on love. Come on, Pete. I knew he was going to do that. I couldn't move fast enough. I don't know where he went. He saw something and he either went to go get it or go hide. I don't know. I don't see nothing out there. About a week ago, I had 5 deer right below me there. More and more as I'm by myself in here, the animals will start coming out. I do have, for my personal protection, I do have a rifle in here with ammunition. But it's put away. But if I need it, I can take it out and use it. It's only because there can be coyotes, you can get wolves, there can be rabid animals. I'm in a tent. They could tear this thing apart. It is possible, theoretically possible, to have bear here. I don't remember the last time someone saw one. I know 30 years ago when we moved into one of our houses, there was a bear in the neighborhood. It used the power line where they cut the trees down to move the power line through there. It got through that and came down. They found him, trapped him, and took him back up into the hills. They only come down here looking for food. And he may have been kicked out of his cubby of bears. In any case, I'm not going to, I've got a 22. I'm not going to shoot a bear with a 22, but I might shoot it in the air and make noise. Before I do that, I have an air horn over there. If I really was concerned about stuff, I'd go get some bear mace, but I think I'm okay. I should see deer and turkey, and I know there's coyotes here because I hear them. But I think they're on the other side of the lake over there. And there's 2 eagles that nest right behind my head up in those trees, and I see them out on the bank over here. They will go swoop down and catch a fish and then go over there and eat it. I wish I had telephoto lens because they won't let me get close. Isaiah 40:31. But they who wait on the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles, just talking about eagles. They shall run and not be weary, and they shall walk and not faint. I have another. I'm not done yet. I put this together yesterday, so I'd have it for today because I know I was going to visit my son, but he had a bunch of work to do, and I didn't want to interfere, so I didn't stay there to record it. If you're doing everything for the Lord, it doesn't matter what you're doing. If you're doing it for the Lord, you will achieve a lot. Kitty's back. Whatever spooked him, he's back. I don't want to let him out there. One, because the eagles come right down onto that area there, and if they saw him, they'd fly up here to get him. And he'd get carried away, and I couldn't stop it. Philippians 3:14. Dear brothers and sisters, I have not achieved it, but I focus on this one thing, forgetting the past and looking forward to what lies ahead. I press on to reach the end of the race and to receive the heavenly prize for which God, through Christ Jesus, is calling us. Paul felt he'd never achieved what he needed to in his life. And yet we're still reading about him thousands of years later. I think he achieved what he needed to. But he had his own sinful nature that he was aware of. He called it a thorn in his side. We don't know what it is. But God said his grace was sufficient. Keep running the race. If you fall down, you get back up and you try to run again. If you can't run because you're exhausted, you walk fast. You can stop, take a couple of deep breaths, and then start walking again. Keep moving is the key. If we're moving, we're not a target. Satan can't bother us unless we're sinning. If we're working for God, he can't touch us. God won't allow it. So keep working for the Lord, and you will be safe from the devil. And if you haven't worked for the Lord yet, start, and you will be safe from the devil. God has a plan for everybody. We're all capable of doing something for the Lord, whatever it is. Maybe your job is to write letters to servicemen, encouraging them in the name of the Lord. Be on a visitation team, going to hospitals, ministering to churches, to hospitals, churches, what's the other word I was looking for? Assisted living. You're either dealing with the old or the young. The people in the middle are usually okay. I've done the senior citizen stuff. Even though I've had kids, I don't have that childlike heart and mindset to deal with kids, so I deal with adults who are reverting back to their childhood, but still are adults. And I find that better for me. But we're all capable of doing something for the Lord. We've got at least one gift. And if you spend that money, that talent that the Master has given you, and you make more money, the Master will be happy. Don't take your talent and hide it under a rock. You're not helping people. All right. I'm going to wrap this up. I'm coming out of a slump on YouTube. They were filtering me heavily. They do that once a month. Typically a week or two before the end, they filter me so that I can sit there and watch the money dry up and the viewership dry up. I make enough money off of the YouTube channel to pay for my satellite and my Patreon. Between the two, I have enough to cover the expenses for running this channel. But that's it. And since I'm not working, I have to rely the rest of it's on my income. And I'm on Social Security. I get a $50 a month raise. Isn't that exciting? Don't spend it all in one spot, I know. All right. I think I will try to do a fundraiser for a laptop. I may start it now and just mention about it, but if you guys need to wait until after Christmas, your family comes first. Well, God comes first, but since I'm an extension of Him, deal with Him first and then get to me second. He's got unlimited money. Let's see what He can do. He's already working on a place to stay, so let's see what He can do. And that might save me more money. I don't pay much to stay out here. If I had a house sitting on this, it'd be on this acreage, and me being the only one here right now. A squirrel in the leaves. It's hard to sneak up on you when they're walking around. This would be a $50 million home sitting here on this acreage with that lake and nobody else around. This is government property. It's owned by Georgia DNR, Department of Natural Resources. Is that what that is? Whatever. But it's leased by the county. And then on the other side behind me in those trees, that's more DNR property. You can hunt in the trees behind me, but not here. I don't know what the rules are because I don't hunt anymore. But I hear shots sometimes. Deer season is still going on until I think the first or second week of January. And duck season, I'm not sure when that ends, but it's winter sport. All right. Hope you're having a great day today. Start it with the Lord. Till we meet in the clouds, God bless. View looking out my tent. I have another big tree similar to that right behind me, so I'm in the trees. These are a little bit reluctant to release their leaves, so they're not completely barren yet. Few light clouds. There shouldn't be any rain. That pole is holding up tarp, so I have a awning out over this side. In case the rain's coming down, I can still film. No critters today, but that's okay. Have a blessed day, everyone.